So to the tune of $10, I recently picked up this Harbor Freight Drill Master 4.5-inch angle grinder. It's a 4.3 amp unit here, and some specifications there for those of you that care. Really all you need to care about is how many RPMs it can do, what size wheels you can put onto it. But for the most part, for $10, you can't really go wrong with one of these. Now there is something that should be said, and that's with these Harbor Freight grinders. You want to pack them full of grease. And full, I don't mean all the way full, but you know, you get what I'm saying. Because they're not packed very well from the factory. So here we have the unit. It's already got the blade guard onto it. Looks like if you want to adjust that, you have to undo this screw, turn it around to wherever you want it. And we have an arbor here. There we go. So with this little button right here, you can lock it and pull it off and put a wheel on as you so desire. It also comes with the spanner wrench for it. As well as the handle and some new brushes in case you wear out the ones that are in it. So because I'm right-handed, go ahead and put the handle on. So to install a cutoff disc, I got a skill one right here. What you'll want to do is grab that washer, make sure the beveled end here is facing down towards the shaft, and make sure it locks against the shaft. Here we have the cutoff disc. This disc is rated for, it's rated for 13,200 max RPM. So this thing is well below that. There we have that. Definitely a lot of play inside this thing. I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm here, lube up the inside of this thing. So I'm going to pop that back off. You guys don't need to see that. Alright, so I'm getting ready to grease this thing. So that being said, how you grease one of these is obviously make sure the thing's not plugged in. And then we're just going to pull these 4 screws off the cap here. And here's the last one. Now for whatever reason, when these things are made in the factory, they're not really lubed up all that much. Now this does have more than I expected it to, but in the past they never really have had this much grease. So I'm going to go ahead and remove as much of this that I can, and then we're going to put some of this moly grease in. And you actually don't need really more than 1/3 of the case size full of the grease, whatever you decide to put in. So I'm just going to dab a couple fingers in here. Before I do that, I'm going to try and get the rest of this grease out of here. And it doesn't really matter too much if there's a little bit of the old stuff left over. And I'm not really too worried about that, because honestly this thing's a $10 grinder from Harbor Freight, so I'm not really too worried or put off by really anything that I could do wrong with this thing. I'm really not. And when this thing is switched on, it's going to sling this grease everywhere, and once it warms up a little bit, it'll liquefy it, so to speak. So all the places that I'm not really getting are going to be covered in grease. Not really too worried about that. So we'll just throw the screws back in, and I'll cut back in when we're ready to start some cutting. So I figured for our first cut we could use a relatively thin piece of metal. It's this rod right here. It's from like a swing you would put in your porch or something like that. And this thing's going to work out pretty good. Let's see how it does. I should obviously mention I do have safety gear on. You guys can see the gloves. And then I've got impact rated safety glasses on as well. Let's get started. Flip her over. Try two. Not bad. Not bad at all. Then again, as I said, this isn't really a thick piece of metal. Let me see if I can find something else to cut. Well, I guess we can try on this lawnmower handle. It's pretty well screwed up, so not really worth keeping the deck. I don't even have a bag for it. So final initial thoughts on this thing is, well, it's pretty much done exactly as I thought it would. It gets through smaller stuff just fine, but it does kind of start to bog down a little bit if you press it a little too hard. My buddy has a Makita over there in his stuff, and his Makita makes very quick work of a lot of the stuff that this one was doing. And it doesn't, and I don't remember that one bogging down at all, doing the same jobs. But you guys can look forward to a stress/torture test on this thing. I want to see how long we can get it to go before it, burns out or whatever. Hopefully adding that lithium moly grease in there helps it out some. But stay tuned for that video, boys.